Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into immense stacks of information and pull out the most flavorful, surprising, and essential knowledge just for you. Today, we are setting our coordinates for a global culinary journey, and it's focused entirely on a single, profoundly versatile protein.
Lamb.
Lamb really is the great culinary chameleon. I mean, if you look across the sheer volume of material we have, it's this massive collection of sought-after preparations, you realize this isn't just about recipes.
Right.
It's a testament to global flavor engineering. Lamb just acts as the perfect canvas. It can anchor anything from, simple Mediterranean herbs to the most intense, multi-layered South Asian spice blends.
Absolutely. And our mission today is to cut through all that noise, bypass the tedious recitation of every single measurement, and instead really analyze the core techniques,
But the pairing.
the surprising pairings, and the sort of underlying culinary philosophies that make these lamb dishes world-class. We are distilling complex instructions into essential insights. And we'll be navigating this culinary map by moving from the sort of traditional classics to the boundary-pushing pairings. And then finally, we'll dive deep into the essentials, the stocks, the specialized preparations.
Okay.
We'll explore everything from quick-searing cutlets and high-heat grilling all the way to those long, slow, alchemic braises. The variety embedded in these instructions, it just shows us exactly how different cultures treat the same staple meat.
Okay, let's unpack this immediately.
Yeah.
I want to start just by glancing at the table of contents alone. I mean, the sheer breadth of the culinary scope is immediately impressive. It shows you the true geographic reach of lamb.
It's wild.
You have titles that sound, ancient, like Arni Exohiko, and it's sitting right next to an intensely spiced dish like lamb and mushroom korma. And then you hit something totally unexpected like lamb cutlets in aromatic coffee sauce.
And what's fascinating here, and what gives us our first major insight, is how the choice of cut. It often dictates not just the cooking method, but the entire regional influence of the dish.
Yep.
This collection is like a masterclass in utilizing the whole animal for maximum effect.
So let's break that down. What are the cuts that feature most prominently in these global preparations?
Well, we clearly see this distinction between the cuts that are suited for short, intense heat, and then those that are meant for the low and slow approach. The slow-cooking heroes, the cuts rich in connective tissue, they're heavily represented.
Okay, like the shoulder.
Exactly, the shoulder. It appears boneless for dishes like the Apricot-Roast lamb shoulder, and then it's ground for the intense complexity of a lamb curry Rollins plantation and various patties.
Right.
And shanks, naturally, are just destined for that long, wet heat. They transform into these tender masterpieces in recipes like carnero and adobe, that's the tangy braised lamb shanks, and the more traditional lamb shanks with lentils.
And then on the flip side, you have the cuts that are designed for like rapid execution, the quick fire candidates, where flavor infusion has to happen fast through a marinade or a crust.
Precisely. And the chops are hugely versatile. Loin chops are perfect for quick grilling, like in the balsamic vinegar marinated lamb chops, while the rib chops are ideal for complementary side dishes like the lamb chops with prune chutney. And the leg is often butterflied, deboned, pounded flat for the grill to maximize that surface area for marinades.
Like in the barbecued butterflied leg of lamb with mint.
Exactly. Or it's cubed and skewered for things like that yogurt marinated barbecue recipe. And we can't forget the elegant rack of lamb, which is always, always destined for high temperature crusting, like in the sophisticated black pepper and herb crusted rack of lamb.
So if we look at the geographical footprint, I mean, just analyzing the variety of these recipe titles gives us a pretty clear map of flavor traditions, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The heavy Mediterranean and Greek influence is unmistakable. The mention of Arni Exouso, which roughly translates to surprise lamb country style.
Surprise lamb, I love that.
It immediately points us to preparations heavy on olive oil, herbs, and cheese, especially those hard, salty Greek cheeses. And this group also includes lamb souvlaki and the detailed lamb pie Ioannina style, which uses phyllo sheets and traditional regional cheeses.
So that tradition is all about robust, fresh herbs, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and citrus.
Right. And in stark contrast to that savory, herb-focused tradition, you have the vibrant, complex, and deeply layered world of South Asian spices.
A completely different philosophy.
Totally. The strong Indian or curry presence shows a completely different culinary approach. We have multiple types, including the rich, yogurt-based lamb and mushroom korma, the highly technical two-stage spice blend of lamb curry Rollins plantation, and others like lamb curry with yogurt.
And these preparations rely heavily on, what is it, dry roasting seeds.
Dry roasting seeds, long simmering to break down all the fibrous ingredients, and just a really careful balance of aromatics and heat.
And then there's that third category that just makes us scratch our heads. The sort of boundary-pushing pairings that take lamb way out of its traditional comfort zone and into totally new flavor territory.
Those are the aha moments. They really show the global adaptability of lamb. We see the North African influence with the lamb and pear tagine, which introduces that sweet contrast of sultanas and pears, skillfully balanced with robust, warming spices like ginger, cumin, coriander, and cinnamon.
But the biggest surprise contenders have to be the dishes that pair lamb with pure fruit. Or, even more shocking, with coffee.
I know. Lamb chops and peaches with lime sauce and the utterly unique lamb cutlets in aromatic coffee sauce.
Coffee sauce for lamb cutlets. I mean, that genuinely raises an important question about flavor compatibility and, frankly, the courage of the cooks who design these dishes.
It really does. It implies this deep philosophical understanding that lamb's inherent richness and, slight gaminess allow it to absorb and complement these highly pungent or sweet secondary flavors without being overwhelmed.
That makes a lot of sense.
It explains why lamb is such a stellar vehicle for complex fruit chutneys, vinegars, and yes, even coffee. It also explains the strong focus on specialized ground meat dishes, like lamb kofta or lamb patties Moroccan style, where grinding the meat just offers maximum surface area for all that flavor absorption.
Let's move now to the slow, intentional oven preparations, starting with the apricot-roast lamb shoulder. Now, this recipe, it's for a boneless shoulder, and it seems like a clinic in infusing moisture and flavor from the inside out using a very short ingredient list.
For sure. The key insight here isn't really the ingredients. I mean, it's boneless lamb shoulder, dried apricots, chicken broth, ginger, thyme, a thickening agent. It's the preparation technique. It's focused entirely on moisture management.
Okay, let's unpack that technique. So after the traditional steps of trimming the fat and patting the lamb dry, this apricot process seems like the critical, non-negotiable step.
It is. The dried apricots are finely chopped and then combined with hot chicken broth, and they have to stand for a significant amount of time, about 20 minutes before being drained.
And you save the broth, right?
You reserve the broth. And this serves two vital functions. First, it rapidly rehydrates the apricots, making them juicy and pliable for the stuffing. Second, it subtly infuses that chicken broth with fruitiness, transforming the reserve liquid into the basis for a really nuanced sauce later.
And the lamb prep itself involves rubbing the exterior and the interior before the stuffing even goes in.
Absolutely. The lamb gets a thorough seasoning with salt, pepper, and an aggressive rub of ground ginger and dry thyme. That dry rub adds this necessary warmth and earthiness, which is essential to counterbalance the inherent sweetness of the apricots that will be spread inside.
The wrapping technique sounds mandatory to get that tender result they talk about.
It's the secret to that tenderness. Once the two halves of the lamb are folded together to completely enclose that apricot stuffing, the entire roast is tightly wrapped in a wide piece of oiled foil.
So it's basically creating its own little steam braising environment inside the oven.
That's exactly what it is. And it ensures that the low, slow cook around an hour and a half at 300 degrees guarantees meltingly tender results.
And the sauce creation afterwards is just pure zero-waste flavor concentration.
It's brilliant. You carefully remove the roast, keep it warm, and then you pour all the precious drippings from the foil into the roasting pan, combining them with that apricot-infused broth you set aside earlier.
Right.
This mixture is boiled, and to thicken it, the instructions specify dissolving cornstarch in ice water. That cold slurry prevents lumps, and stirring it into the boiling liquid until the sauce is glossy and thickened.
And I love that the final instruction emphasizes slicing the meat carefully to make sure that apricot center stays intact so you can really showcase the infusion when it's served. Okay, moving to another large roast, the basil stuffed lamb roast. This requires a 5 to 7 pound butterflied lamb leg and focuses on a massive, highly herbaceous stuffing that serves almost as a savory bread pudding inside the meat.
This is a truly substantial stuffing. It requires careful layering to get the right texture. The initial base builds flavor with sautéed chopped onions, minced garlic, and chopped celery cooked in olive oil until they're tender.
And the crucial instruction here is to avoid browning them.
Right, you want that sweetness, not the color.
And then the wet and dry elements come together using a pretty surprising bulk ingredient, plain croutons.
Yes, a large volume of plain croutons, about 6 cups, forms the dry bulk, and this is combined with the wet elements. Lightly beaten eggs, thawed, chopped frozen spinach, and water. The huge amount of flavor comes from snipped parsley and basil, grated Parmesan cheese, crushed dry rosemary, marjoram, and pepper.
Using croutons instead of plain bread cubes is interesting. What's the function of the croutons in this context?
Well, the croutons provide a structure that plain breadcrumbs might lack. They soak up the moisture from the eggs and spinach really slowly. So when the roast cooks, this ensures the stuffing remains light and fluffy, rather than turning into a heavy, dense mass.
Right.
The final instruction is to drizzle it with water and lightly toss not mix aggressively before setting aside. It just underscores the need for that light texture.
And the meat preparation requires careful handling to ensure an even cook and easy rolling.
Exactly. You first need to remove the fell, which, for listeners who might not know, is that thin, silvery connective tissue or membrane you often find on lamb.
Oh, okay.
Removing it allows the roast to roll more easily, and it tenderizes the final cut. Then, you pound the meat to an even thickness, sprinkle the interior with rosemary, spread the stuffing evenly, roll it up, and tie it securely with string.
The roasting time is quite long at a moderate temperature.
It roasts uncovered at 325 degrees for up to 2 hours, targeting an internal temperature of 150. And the standing time, 15 minutes before carving, is crucial here. It allows the stuffing to set and the juices to redistribute throughout the meat, preventing dryness.
Next, we pivot to high-heat grilling, contrasting that slow oven approach with rapid cooking methods that demand strong exterior flavor from marinades and crusts. Let's start with the unique barbecued butterflied leg of lamb with mint and pocket bread.
This recipe targets a substantial boned leg, and it focuses entirely on maximizing surface area. The initial prep involves laying the meat bone side up, slashing halfway into the thickened portions, and then flattening the meat out.
So the marinade can penetrate deeply, and it allows for a uniform cook on the grill.
Exactly. And the marinade itself is a fascinating combination of acid, sugar, and fresh herb.
Right, the balsamic vinegar and mint jelly.
It relies on a balanced infusion. Balsamic vinegar, which provides the acidity and depth, is boiled with mint jelly, introducing that sweet, glossy quality. Once it's removed from the heat, a large quantity of minced fresh mint is stirred in.
So that acid sugar herb mixture tenderizes the lamb and creates a glossy exterior when it's grilled.
For sure. And the lamb soaks this up, chilling for at least 2 hours or overnight, turned occasionally.
The barbecuing technique here is also quite specific about coal management to ensure the grill is hot but controlled.
It's a precise methodology. You ignite a large number of briquettes, 50 to 60, letting them ash over, spreading them out, and then scattering 10 to 12 more fresh briquettes on top.
Okay.
The lamb is grilled 5 to 6 inches above this complex heat source, basted with the reserved marinade. The lid and vents are kept open to control the temperature while maintaining high heat. The goal is a well-done thickest portion, then resting, slicing it thinly, and serving it inside small pocket bread.
Moving to another grilled leg of lamb, we see a completely different South Asian flavor profile in the barbecued leg of lamb with yogurt.
This is a flavor bomb designed for large-scale cooking. It's a massive 10-pound boned lamb leg cut into uniform 1-inch cubes. The marinade is simple in structure but powerful in spice. It's based on plain yogurt, cumin, paprika, turmeric, salt, cloves, and nutmeg.
The yogurt serves a crucial functional purpose here, doesn't it? Beyond just flavor.
Absolutely. The lactic acid in the yogurt works as an enzymatic tenderizer. It breaks down the surface proteins without turning the meat mushy, which highly acidic marinades can sometimes do.
Right.
Combining this with the earthiness of cumin and turmeric, you get deep flavor saturation during the overnight refrigeration. It's then skewered and cooked over hot coals for rapid, high-heat cooking, just 7 minutes per side, to ensure a crust forms while the center stays juicy.
Now contrast that complex preparation with the simplicity of the Bastille Day grilled lamb with rosemary.
This recipe, targeting a smaller cut, 1.5 pounds of butterflied leg, embraces classic French flavors and extremely high heat. The entire prep focuses on a potent rub: olive oil, Dijon mustard, minced fresh rosemary, white wine vinegar, salt, and garlic.
And the mustard acts as an emulsifier and a binder.
Right, it helps the herbs stick perfectly to the meat while providing that sharp tang.
And the cooking time is lightning fast because of the high temperature.
It bakes directly on a foil-lined pan at a blazing 450 degrees, targeting 120 degrees internal temperature for rare. That takes only 22 to 25 minutes. This is a celebration of the lamb's inherent flavor, enhanced by the immediate searing action of the high heat.
Finally, in this section, let's look at the sophisticated black pepper and herb-crusted rack of lamb. This dish is all about texture and that perfect crust.
It emphasizes a crunchy, highly aromatic crust set by initial high heat. And the crust relies on a coarse mixture: coarsely crushed black pepper, coarse salt, dried rosemary, fresh chovel, dried thyme, and minced garlic. The coarse crushing of the pepper is key. You want texture and sharp bursts of flavor, not a uniform powder.
What's the secret to getting that crust to adhere and set properly?
After the racks are defrosted, patted dry, and brushed with olive oil, the spice mixture is aggressively rubbed onto the meat. Then the chilling period, a minimum of 2 hours, is crucial.
Oh, okay.
This helps the oil and herbs bind to the meat surface. The cooking starts at 475 for just 10 minutes to sear and set the crust perfectly. Then the heat is reduced to 375 for 20 more minutes to gently bring the internal temperature up to the desired 130 degrees.
Now we move to smaller, more individual cuts, like chops and cutlets. The focus shifts from hours of cooking time to these flavor-packed individual portions. Let's start with the spectacular Greek preparation, Arni Exohiko Surprise Lamb Country Style.
This is less a chop recipe and more a culinary magic trick. It transforms a loin chop into this delicious, savory, self-contained pastry parcel.
Wow.
It begins by quickly frying 8 loin lamb chops in olive oil at high heat and then simmering them for about 15 minutes to initiate that tenderization process.
The structure is the surprise, right? The careful layering of the phyllo dough.
The phyllo is the casing, yeah. It requires 18 commercial sheets that must be kept covered with a dampened towel to prevent drying and cracking. The sheets are layered 2 at a time, brushed generously with hot melted butter, then covered and buttered again. This layering creates that flaky, light, golden casing.
And the actual filling involves a host of traditional Greek components.
In the center of that buttered phyllo goes 1 semi-cooked lamb chop, a few tablespoons of drained cooked peas, a thick slice of kasseri cheese, which is a traditional hard Greek cheese, providing that salty, tangy,
Oh, nice.
parboiled potato balls, and 2 peeled cherry tomatoes. This is seasoned simply with salt, pepper, parsley, and oregano.
The assembly sounds like a delicate operation.
It is. The phyllo is folded around the lamb and vegetables to create a sealed package, arranged seam side down, brushed generously again with butter, and baked at 350 for about 45 to 50 minutes until it's perfectly golden.
And the payoff is that moment when you cut into the parcel and the cheese and herbs spill out.
That's the true surprise.
Next, let's look at the balsamic vinegar marinated lamb chops, which also includes a sophisticated sauce element, but focuses on the grill. It really emphasizes a robust contrast.
This recipe targets 8 thick loin chops, about 1.25 inches thick, and it demands an overnight soak to achieve both flavor and tenderness. The marinade is a punchy mix of balsamic vinegar, minced shallots, dried thyme, salt, and pepper.
And that high acidity from the vinegar and the sharpness of the shallots work hard to break down the surface fibers.
For sure, they infuse this deep, complex, savory, sweet flavor into the meat.
And the accompanying pimento butter sounds like a brilliant compound butter addition.
It's the perfect, cool, creamy counterpoint to the grilled, acidic meat. Compound butter, for those unfamiliar, is simply softened butter mixed with other flavorings. This specific butter is made by processing softened unsalted butter with roasted red bell pepper, drain pimiento, and a touch of fresh lemon juice until it achieves a vibrant orange color.
And it has to be chilled.
It must be chilled so it can be dolloped directly onto the hot chops after grilling 5 minutes per side for medium rare, creating this melting, rich glaze.
Now we delve into the truly unusual pairings in this collection, starting with the deeply exotic lamb cutlets in aromatic coffee sauce.
I know this sounds strange, but if you look at the ingredients, the flavor profile isn't just coffee. It suggests a dark, complex, sweet and spiced profile, reminiscent of a sophisticated mole sauce, which often utilizes chocolate or coffee for depth.
Okay, that makes more sense.
The sauce combines strong coffee, pure honey for sweetness, butter, Worcestershire sauce for umami, a hint of lemon juice, and a complex spice mix: mace, ground cinnamon, cardamom, and mixed spice.
So the use of mace and cardamom suggests this is far more layered than just pouring coffee over meat. What is the fundamental flavor bridge that allows that coffee bitterness to harmonize with the gaminess of the cutlet?
The bridge is the honey and the spice blend. The strong, dark coffee acts like a bitter cocoa or molasses base, contributing depth and a dark color, but that bitterness is entirely controlled by the generous amount of honey.
Right.
Mace, cinnamon, and cardamom add warmth, elevating the coffee from a simple drink note to an aromatic, complex backbone.
How does this sauce come together with the quick-cooked cutlets?
The butter, liquid ingredients, and spices are gently melted and set aside. The cutlets are fried in ghee, that's clarified butter, until browned. The sauce is then reheated quickly to a boil and poured directly over the cutlets.
And it's specifically recommended to serve this with pitted prunes and boiled rice.
Yes, reinforcing the idea that the sauce is designed to be sweet, sticky, and robust enough to carry those accompanying fruits.
Prunes show up again in the lamb chops with prune chutney, which offers a savory, sweet accompaniment that is much more recognizable as a pairing.
This chutney is a careful balance of allium, acid, sugar, and dried fruit. It involves sautéing halved shallots and sugar in unsalted butter until they are wonderfully golden brown and caramelized. After cooking off the balsamic vinegar, the mixture is simmered gently with large, pitted prunes, dry cranberries, chicken broth, and fresh rosemary until the liquid reduces significantly, becoming this thick, concentrated relish.
And the chops themselves are kept relatively simple to allow the chutney to shine.
Precisely. 8 rib chops are seasoned with rosemary, salt, and pepper, then sautéed in olive oil for just 3 to 4 minutes per side, targeting a very quick, rosy internal temperature. The richness of the lamb stands up perfectly to the tartness and sweetness of the chutney.
Another chop preparation relies on a strong, fresh paste, lamb chops with red pepper pesto.
The preparation for this pesto is intensive. It starts with charring 2 sweet red peppers on an oiled pan for 20 minutes until the skin is blistered. The charring and peeling process removes the bitterness and unlocks the sweet, smoky essence of the pepper.
Right.
After processing the roasted peppers, the recipe adds the standard pesto elements: olive oil, grated Parmesan, fresh basil leaves, and minced garlic.
Now we notice the measurement for the Parmesan and garlic is listed as centiliters, 2 centiliters of each.
Yeah.
That's a really unusual metric volume for solids in home cooking.
That's a great catch, and it highlights why simply reading a recipe can be confusing. Centiliters are typically used for liquids. In this context, 2 centiliters is a very small volume, roughly equivalent to a couple of tablespoons or less, suggesting the recipe intends for a small amount of Parmesan and garlic paste to be added.
So the roasted pepper remains the dominant lead flavor supported by the basil.
Exactly. The chops themselves are simple loin chops, pan-cooked, and served directly with the finished pesto.
Finally, we have the incredibly rich baked preparation. Lamb cutlets Shrewsbury, a classic British-style preparation.
This dish uses a rich, fruity sauce base. It starts by heating and blending red currant jelly, which provides deep color and tart sweetness, Worcestershire sauce for complexity, and lemon juice for brightness.
Right.
The cutlets are quickly browned and transferred to a baking dish with softened, sliced mushrooms.
And the sauce is expertly thickened right in the same pan, capturing all the residual flavors.
It is. A small amount of flour is fried with the remaining fat to create a quick roux. The juice mixture is added, boiled while stirring, and then stock is added to achieve the desired thickness. This rich, savory sauce is seasoned, strained over the cutlets and mushrooms, and baked at a moderate temperature for at least an hour until the meat is completely fork tender.
This is a dish defined by richness and long, slow flavor development. Shifting gears completely, let's talk about complexity and layering. The South Asian influence in this collection is exemplified by the highly detailed 2-part spice preparation in the lamb curry Rollins plantation. This is less a recipe and more a foundational lesson in building a deep, complex curry base.
This specific preparation is so instructional in its precision. The level of detail shows the authentic, labor-intensive approach required to achieve true depth of flavor. The critical first step is the creation of the dry roasted spice blend, referred to as the curry paste.
Tell us about the philosophy behind that dry roasting. Why is that step non-negotiable?
Dry roasting whole seeds, coriander, cumin, fennel, peppercorns, cloves, cardamom, cinnamon, and nutmeg is essential because it activates the essential oils locked within them.
Right.
This process imparts an earthy, toasted, nutty flavor that you just cannot achieve by simply adding ground spices to liquid. The seeds are roasted until fragrant and slightly darker, cooled, ground finely, and only then is turmeric added, forming the paste with water.
But that's just the first layer. This recipe calls for a completely separate layer of heat and pungency in the form of a chili puree.
That's the other half of the flavor profile, focusing on fresh ingredients. It requires seeding and stemming dried red chiles, which the instructions say requires gloves, underscoring the heat soaking them to soften, and then pureeing them with a significant amount of chopped onions and grated ginger.
The cooking process requires patience to develop these layered paste flavors before the lamb even goes in.
Immense patience. The chili puree is cooked in oil until the oil separates and the puree starts to stick to the bottom of the pot. This is the cook's signal that the moisture has been driven off and the volatile flavors have mellowed and concentrated.
And only then is the dry roasted curry paste added.
Only then. And it's cooked for 4 more minutes with constant stirring. This technique locks in that flavor complexity before the lamb cubes and water are added for a long, slow simmer of 1 to 2 hours.
And the finishing elements add necessary richness, acid, and freshness right at the end.
Correct. In the final stage, you introduce texture and brightness. Bell peppers, seeded and chopped plum tomatoes, unsweetened coconut milk for creaminess, and lime juice for acidity. The last touch is the addition of fresh curry leaves, which contribute a distinct aromatic flavor just moments before serving, ensuring their fragrance is potent.
Moving to a milder yogurt-based version, we have lamb and mushroom korma.
This korma, intended for lean lamb cubes, still maintains a deep spice profile, cumin, coriander, turmeric, and crushed cardamom pods. But the technique integrates the plain yogurt much earlier.
The steps are simpler here, focusing on building a savory, creamy base that relies on the yogurt for both richness and tenderizing.
You fry a large chopped onion until golden, add the garlic, ginger, and spices, fry briefly, and then brown the lamb. The integration of the yogurt is key. It's added, brought to a boil, and then the mixture is covered and cooked gently for 45 minutes.
And the mushrooms are added only for the final 15 minutes.
Exactly, ensuring they absorb the curry sauce without breaking down completely.
Traveling west to North Africa, the lamb and pear tagine introduces that signature sweet and savory balance that Morocco is famous for.
This dish beautifully pairs robust earthiness with subtle fruit notes. The spice focus is powerful. Equal parts cumin, coriander, cinnamon, ground ginger, and black pepper, used with large chunks of lean lamb leg. The balance is achieved by using warming spices like cinnamon and ginger alongside the earthy ones like cumin and coriander.
And the sweet elements, the pears, almonds, and sultanas, are only incorporated right at the very end of that lengthy simmer. Why is that specific timing so essential?
That timing is the critical technique that defines the tagine. After the onions are fried, the lamb browned, and the spices introduced, water is added, and it simmers for 1 to 2 hours until the lamb is tender.
Right.
If you add the pears and sultanas earlier, the fruit would completely disintegrate into mush. Adding them only in the final 5 minutes allows the pears to soften while retaining their shape and texture, providing that contrasting burst of sweetness when you eat it.
Let's shift dramatically from hours of simmering to the rapid-fire skewered preparations, starting with the low-calorie Japanese skewered lamb.
This is a fast, highly flavored marinade designed for very thin strips of boneless lamb. The cut is specific. Thin, long strips, ensuring maximum contact with the marinade and maximum speed on the grill. The marinade is classic Japanese-influenced flavor. Soy sauce, sherry, vinegar, bouillon, honey, ground ginger, and crushed garlic.
The marinade time is exceptionally short, only 60 minutes at room temperature. That speaks to the purpose of the preparation.
Exactly. Given the thinness of the lamb strips, an hour is sufficient for the intense flavor of the soy, sherry, and honey to penetrate the surface. This is all about high heat, quick caramelization, and fast service. The strips are woven onto skewers and broiled just 4 inches from the coals for only 2 minutes per side.
Now contrast that preparation speed with the lamb souvlaki, which, while still grilled, incorporates variety meats and demands a longer soak.
This traditional Greek skewering calls for a mix of lamb leg cubes, but notably, it also includes baby lamb sweetbreads and baby lamb kidneys, all cut into walnut-sized cubes.
Wow.
This utilization of offal adds a huge depth of flavor and unique texture that plain lamb leg just can't achieve.
And the flavor profile relies on a very specific set of Greek herbs.
The marinade uses olive oil, wine, fresh lemon juice, and a heavy classic mix of dried herbs. Thyme, oregano, and rosemary, plus a crushed bay leaf and minced garlic. Because of the density of the different meats, it's refrigerated for at least 3 hours, or ideally overnight. It's grilled over heat, brushed with marinade, and finished with crushed oregano on top.
We turn now to the true comfort food category, the long braises, where thyme is the essential ingredient. The Carnero in Adobe tangy braised lamb shanks is a prime example of complex, chili-based, slow technique.
This recipe for 4 lamb shanks is rooted in the deep, earthy flavor of ancho chilies. The chili prep requires soaking the dried chilies in boiled water for an hour, then pureeing them with some of the soaking liquid. This forms the base of the adobe sauce.
The braising base utilizes intensely fragrant aromatics. And I have to ask you about one particular ingredient.
Right.
After browning the shanks, the The recipe calls for sautéing white onions and then adding 4 cups of minced garlic. 4 cups is an astonishing quantity. Is that a typo in the source, or does that long braise transform the garlic into something entirely different?
That is definitely not a typo, and it's one of the most fascinating instructions in this entire collection. If you sautéed 4 cups of garlic quickly, the dish would be inedible, intensely sharp and bitter.
Right.
However, in a long, low braise of 2 to 2.5 hours, that garlic undergoes a profound transformation.
How does that work?
The heat is low, and the braising liquid keeps the garlic moist. Over that immense period, the volatile sulfur compounds that give garlic its sharp bite break down, and the natural sugars caramelize. That massive quantity of garlic just melts into the sauce, becoming sweet, nutty, and highly savory, providing body and richness without any residual sharpness.
Wow.
It's a foundational technique in specific Mexican slow-cooked preparations.
That makes sense. That intensity is then layered with the complex braising liquid.
Yes. The liquid includes the chili puree, peeled whole tomatoes, beef broth, raisins, piloncillo hard sauce, and bay leaves. For those unfamiliar, piloncillo is unrefined cane sugar pressed into cones, giving the dish a deep, molasses-like sweetness that is crucial to balancing the earthy chilies and the mellowed garlic.
After the 2+ hours of simmering, the finishing touches focus on thickening and brightening the sauce.
The final steps are critical. Skimming the fat from the top, adding a tablespoon of cider vinegar to cut through the richness and provide that tang, and then boiling the sauce to thicken it for about 10 minutes. It's garnished with shredded romaine lettuce and black pitted olives, adding a final, fresh texture contrast.
Contrasting that robust chili preparation with a more traditional Mediterranean pairing, we have lamb shanks with lentils.
This preparation for medium shanks combines 2 separate cooking processes before the final bake. First, the shanks are browned and then simmered in a small amount of water for an hour, seasoned with basic salt, pepper, garlic, and oregano.
And the lentils are treated almost like a separate side dish.
They are. The lentils are simmered separately with water, chopped celery, bay leaf, and the unique addition of a small onion stuffed with whole cloves.
That's a cool little trick.
The onion and cloves infuse the lentils with a subtle, warm, aromatic flavor. The final step involves combining the meat and lentils, topping them with thin lemon slices. The slices must be thin, releasing their oil and acidity, and baking until the liquid is absorbed.
Now for the hearty stews. Starting with the powerful, highly seasoned lamb chili. This is clearly designed for depth and heat.
This is a highly robust recipe, calling for 5 pounds of boned and trimmed lamb leg. The chili base is immense, using 2 types of dried chili. 5 ounces of seeded and stemmed dry anchovies are soaked in hot chicken stock. The anchos give earthiness and color.
Right.
Then, a portion of that broth is pureed with 3 cans of chipotle chiles in adobo sauce.
The chipotles are key here, providing smoky heat that the anchos lack.
Precisely. The pureed, smoky chipotle base is layered over the browned lamb and sautéed aromatics. The recipe specifies 12 ounces of Firestone Double Barrel Ale, which is a specific dark beer. The dark malt sweetness and slight roast notes from the ale complement the chili profile.
And a dark ale in there.
Yeah.
That adds a whole other layer, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Before the rest of the chili stock, cumin and ground pasilla chili seasoning are added.
That pasilla chili seasoning adds that aromatic dried fruit character typical of complex Mexican chili.
It creates that final layer of complexity. The whole mixture simmers for 60 minutes until the lamb is tender. A massive amount of canned black beans are mixed in, along with lime juice for essential brightness. And the dish is finished with a fresh, acidic salsa combining diced ripe avocados, lime juice, cilantro, jalapenos, and red onions.
Which provides that cool, fresh, textural contrast to the deep, hot chili.
Exactly.
Now contrast that complexity with a deceptively simple lamb and cabbage casserole.
This dish, intended for thin lamb shoulder chops, uses a layering technique, almost like lasagna. Thin shoulder chops, floured and salted, are layered alternately with thinly sliced white cabbage, sprinkled with more flour and salt, and dotted with butter. A small amount of warm water is poured over the final layer.
And the unique way the spice is introduced ensures total diffusion without, biting into whole peppercorns unexpectedly.
It's a clever technique for slow flavor delivery. 3 tablespoons of whole black peppercorns must be bruised lightly, just cracked, not ground, and placed either in a cheesecloth bag or a metal spice holding bowl.
So you get all that pepper flavor without any of the harshness.
Right. This sachet is buried right into the layers. The dish is boiled and then gently simmered for an hour and a half until the meat is tender and the cabbage melts, at which point the peppercorn bag is removed. It's simple, rustic, and brilliant for maximizing gentle, prolonged flavor infusion.
This last section shows us the extreme sophistication lamb can achieve. The lamb fillet with morels is less a conventional recipe and more a carefully composed, multi-component fine dining dish.
This is a showcase of technique, focusing on stuffing, protecting, and saucing. The lamb fillets are seasoned, strung onto skewers, and a central hole is created and filled with chicken forcemeat.
Okay, so forcemeat, for our listeners, is essentially a finely ground, seasoned mixture of meat, usually bound with fat or cream, used as a stuffing. It adds richness and ensures the lamb remains moist.
Exactly. The fillets are then subjected to a double wrapping, first in a lettuce leaf, which protects the meat, and then completely enclosed in a sheet of pork net, which holds the shape and prevents moisture loss. It's a highly protected process.
And the accompanying sauce components are extensive. I mean, there are two distinct, highly nuanced sauces. This is where the orchestration comes in.
It's a deliberate balance of richness and lightness. The port wine sauce is a reduction of beef stock or gravy powder combined with port wine to maintain a thick consistency. It provides a classic, deep, savory, sweet pairing.
And the other one?
The chive cream sauce is far more complex. Shallots are sautéed, reduced with Madeira wine, chicken stock, and white wine drops, then strained. A generous amount of cream is added, seasoned, and finished with fresh chives.
The final presentation sounds like an architectural exercise. It requires multiple garnishes.
It truly is. You need sautéed morels, which have been soaked overnight, blanched broccoli florets, also sautéed in butter, 12 delicate potato pancakes made from a specific batter mix, diced tomatoes, and chopped truffle.
Wow.
The plating involves spooning the bright chive cream sauce in the center, placing pools of the dark port sauce around it, laying the lamb slices sideways, and positioning the potato pancakes and broccoli between the slices. It's all about visual and textural contrast.
Contrast that complex composition with this satisfying, straightforward preparation of lamb patties Moroccan style with harissa sauce.
This preparation is about maximum flavor saturation in ground meat. Lean ground lamb is mixed by hand with a powerful aromatic Moroccan spice blend. Grated onion, chopped parsley, chopped garlic, paprika, ground cumin, and dried hot crushed peppers.
And that kneading process is critical here.
For sure. It works the spices into the meat to bind the patties and ensure flavor distribution.
And then shaped into burgers and quickly cooked.
8 patties are formed and cooked quickly in oil on a nonstick skillet for 3 to 4 minutes per side. They're served hot, specifically designed to be topped or dipped in harissa sauce, which provides that necessary chili kick and savory depth to the lamb.
We wrap up this deep dive by looking at the foundations of flavor, starting with lamb stock. This is the unsung hero of many of the braises and sauces we just discussed.
Any serious meat preparation begins here. The stock requires lamb bone, often from a previously roasted or used leg, halved along with aromatic vegetables. Quartered onions, carrots, celery, and a tomato or canned tomato pieces, bay leaf, peppercorns, and parsley.
And crucially, it includes drippings from any previous roast.
Yes, adding layers of cooked flavor.
And the method is the classic slow simmer, but with specific handling post-cook.
The bone is boiled in enough water to cover, the heat is reduced, and it simmers, partially covered, for 1 to 2 hours until the liquid is concentrated and flavorful. Post-cook, it must be drained, the vegetables and bone discarded, any remaining meat saved, and crucially, all fat must be removed before using or storing.
Why is that so important for lamb?
Lamb fat, or tallow, sets very hard and can impart a strong, sometimes waxy flavor if left in the stock, unlike beef or chicken fat.
Got it. Finally, the lamb sausage recipe, which addresses a key challenge of cooking lamb, its leanness.
This recipe acknowledges that lamb, especially ground lamb, can be quite lean and dry, making it challenging for sausage production. Therefore, it requires a mix of ground lamb, but crucially adds ground pork and ground fat back.
And that is essential for moisture retention and texture in the final sausage.
Exactly. The spice mix here is highly bold, relying on cumin and cayenne for heat and warmth.
Intentionally strong.
Very. Cayenne, ground cumin, salt, and garlic powder mixed with water. The instructions emphasize kneading the mixture by hand to ensure the spices are fully incorporated, shaping the mixture into patties, and frying until golden brown. The note to adjust the spice mixture based on tolerance acknowledges the potentially fierce heat of those 2 tablespoons of cayenne.
What a profound culinary journey this has been. I mean, if we look back across all these detailed preparations, two major threads really emerge, connecting global traditions through the versatile nature of lamb and just confirming its status as the ultimate chameleon protein.
The first major insight is the staggering range of spice philosophies that lamb can successfully anchor. We traveled from the simple French preparations using coarse mustard, vinegar, and fresh rosemary,
Right.
through the complex acidity of balsamic and the unexpected sweet tartness of red currant jelly, right up to the layered dry-roasted seeds and intense chiles necessary for the most complex Indian curries and North African tagines.
And the second thread is that essential contrast in technique and time investment. We had high-heat, rapid preparations, those thin Japanese skewers broiled for minutes, or the loin chops grilled for mere moments per side.
Techniques designed to capture the flavor of the meat quickly.
And they stand in direct opposition to the long, slow alchemic braises, the shanks, the chilies, the stews, that required 2 to 2.5 hours of gentle simmering, transforming tough cuts and mellowing ingredients like 4 cups of raw garlic into something profoundly sweet and complex.
So the key takeaway for you, the learner, is this. Lamb's inherent richness and robust flavor profile make it a uniquely adaptable canvas for absorbing and complementing complex secondary flavors. Whether that flavor is savory, spicy, or unexpectedly fruity like apricots, pears, prunes, or even coffee lamb will not be overwhelmed, making it incredibly adaptable across vastly diverse culinary philosophies.
It's proof that tradition is often rooted in daring experimentation.
Yeah.
We've explored global classics and surprising pairings successfully using lamb. So as you reflect on these deep dives and prepare to apply these techniques in your own kitchen, consider this final provocative thought. We've seen lamb partnered successfully with everything from molasses like sugar and bitter coffee to tart red currant jelly. What forgotten savory vegetable or unexpected pungent pairing, perhaps rooted in a local underappreciated tradition, might be the next great partner for the world's most versatile meat?